Hey everyone, welcome back. Let's do a deep dive into something I'm sure you've heard a lot about, AI. I feel like every day there's a new headline.
Right.
AI is going to take our jobs, AI is going to fix everything. It's a lot.
It really is. It's like a roller coaster.
Mm.
AI is going to take over the world and also is going to create utopia. It's hard to know what to believe.
Right. And this article from Medium, AI hype, solvable low-hanging fruit, really stood out to me. Like it cuts through all that noise and says, hold on a second.
Yeah, the core idea is something I think about a lot, focusing on what AI can actually do now, the low-hanging fruit, instead of getting lost in these big futuristic what-ifs.
So break that down for us. Low-hanging fruit, what does that even mean when we're talking about AI?
Basically, it means those problems that we can actually solve with the AI we have right now, things that could make a difference in everyday life, small but significant, not some big theoretical thing way off in the future.
So instead of just talking about what AI might be able to do someday, we're talking about using it to make real changes right now. I like that. But in a field like AI, which moves so fast, why is this approach so important?
It's a good question. I think, by focusing on these solvable problems, it actually proves that AI is worth something. It's not just hype. It's like, look, here are the benefits. Here's what it can actually do. And that's huge. I mean, that's how you get more people interested, more funding, more talent, and that just makes everything move faster.
So it's about building trust, right?
Yeah.
Like showing people the value of AI instead of just talking about it.
It's exactly. Think of it like, before you build a skyscraper, you got to have a solid foundation, right? Same with AI. These early wins, they build momentum, they build trust, not just for the people building AI, for everyone else who's going to use it, right?
It's like building that solid ground before we all try to leap into the future. So we're proving AI's worth. We're building that foundation by starting with what's actually achievable. And the article brings up a really good example of what that looks like, something I think a lot of people can relate to.
Yeah, they start with this tweet. Yeah, it's actually kind of funny. Somebody saying they wish they had a button to, like, filter their social media feed. Yeah. To make it all positive.
Oh, tell me about it. Some days that's all I want, a little positivity boost.
Right. And then someone else commented, and I love this, they're like, that's not just wishful thinking. That's an AI problem waiting to be solved. Like, we have the tools, we just got to use them.
Okay, so how does that work?
Well,
How do you train an AI to understand what's positive on social media? Isn't that super subjective?
well, that's the thing. We actually have a good starting point. I mean, think about all the data we have, user interactions, the content itself. And there's already tech that analyzes sentiment, like is something positive, negative, neutral. We've got that.
Right, so it's not starting from scratch.
Exactly. And the original tweet was really specific to, what they considered positive, like inspiring stuff, interesting facts, good jokes, stuff like that.
Yeah.
But then also what they didn't want to see, like, anything hateful or violent.
So they basically gave the AI a definition to work with.
Yeah. And that's key. It's not just make my feed happy. It's like, here are the categories I'm thinking about. That makes it way more doable for AI even today.
It's like they handed them the instruction manual, and it makes you think, even if it just starts with something like social media, the impact could be huge. Like, imagine if it actually helps people feel better, less negativity online.
Oh, absolutely. That's what's so exciting. We're talking about potentially improving people's mental health, especially, younger people who are growing up online. That's massive.
It makes you wonder, could this actually make the internet a healthier place overall?
Right. I mean, that's the goal, right? Using AI to create spaces online that are more positive, more constructive. But it's tricky too, right? Like, who gets to decide what's considered positive? How do we make sure important conversations don't get silenced just because they're difficult?
It's those bigger questions we always have to keep in mind, right? Even as we get excited about the possibilities.
Exactly. And to the article's credit, they don't shy away from that. We got to be critical, even when the tech seems cool. But, this whole social media thing, it's just one example, right?
Yeah, like the tip of the iceberg when you think about how AI could change our lives, right?
100%. So I'm curious, like, what other low-hanging fruit do you see out there? Where else could AI make a real difference, in the near future?
Well, I was thinking about what you said earlier about education, right? What if AI could actually help personalize learning, adjust to each student's pace?
Absolutely. Imagine you have a classroom, and the AI is basically acting like an assistant, but for every single kid, giving them what they need in real time. That's incredible. Or what about healthcare? AI looking at medical images, helping doctors diagnose things faster, more accurately.
Like having this whole team of superpowered helpers, but for everything. So This is all amazing, but how do we actually make it happen? We can talk about these ideas, but how do we make sure AI is used in these practical, helpful ways?
That is the question, isn't it? I think, honestly, a big part of it is just changing how we talk about AI, getting away from all the hype, and focusing on actually solving problems. And that takes, well, everyone, right? Researchers, developers, investors, we all need to see the value in these achievable goals because they're not just doable. They can make a real positive difference.
So maybe this is where we all come in, right? As users, as consumers, you mean?
Yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
If we start demanding more from AI, if we support companies that prioritize these practical uses, then we can actually steer the direction of the technology.
It's like we have more power than we think to make sure AI works for us and not the other way around.
I love that. It's not about being controlled by technology. It's about using it to create the world we want to live in.
It's exciting to think, we can actually be a part of this, help shape how AI develops. And it made me think of what you were saying before about building that foundation one step at a time.
Oh, yeah, totally. Like
Yeah.
those low-hanging fruit projects. They're not just about solving that one problem. They're building blocks.
Right?
Yeah.
Like if AI can make social media less toxic, or like you said, help kids learn better, suddenly those big futuristic ideas don't seem so impossible.
Yeah, it changes how people see what's possible. And it
Mhm.
gives the developers, the people actually building this stuff, a place to start, things to learn from.
Instead of saying like, okay, AI, solve world hunger, which is like, whoa, overwhelming, we're saying, okay, how do we make sure everyone has clean water? Still a huge problem, but solvable,
Uh-huh.
right? And then we go from there.
Such a good point. It's about taking those steps, even if they seem small, because they add up.
Yeah.
And I think that's what I liked most about the article. It's not about the hype. It's about being realistic, but also optimistic.
And being a part of the conversation, right? Like we were saying, it's not just for the tech people anymore, it's for everybody.
100%. And I think the easiest way to do that, honestly, is just to start looking around. Look at your own life, the things you struggle with, the things that bug you, and ask, could AI help with this?
What a great question to leave everyone with. So, for everyone listening, that's something to think about this week, right? What's that one thing, that everyday problem that you wish AI would just, like, fix? What would that world look like? Keep those ideas coming, because the future of AI, well, it might be closer than we think. And that's it for this deep dive. Thanks for listening, everyone.